One of the reasons why I started working on green mentoring was simply because I have a granddaughter. And she will hopefully be living 80 years from now. She's 3 years old. And we're facing a planet where it will be very difficult to live. So that is one of my key reasons. And I guess for all of you, or at least most of you, that is also an issue. We worry about the future of our children and grandchildren and the next generations in general. Now, the problem is, not the number one problem is that we must reverse the warming. And it is a collapse of a natural system, which means that it's subject to a very slow decline. But when those natural processes are done, then the collapse is sudden and it's often irreversible. And therefore we need to accelerate this. This is not a usual business problem. We need to accelerate. Another problem is that we have committed to not leaving anybody behind. And this is what we do to nature. This is from the US. This is from, I think it's from India. This is from Jakarta. And it is a river. It is a river. This is from the Philippines. Now this small guy has a modeling his father probably. So this is his future. We have catastrophes like this. This was in Bad Münstereifel, just a half hour from where I lived. This is the neighbor city. This is 5 minutes from where I was living when I was working in Germany. Now, these are huge changes to our environment. And it seems that we are almost oblivious about what's happening. The footprint is mainly in the Western world. And as you can see from this, you can take that up on find it on the internet. Everything which is from February and right until the mid of the year, June, that is what the Western world is consuming. So we are consuming 2 to 3 planets in one year. Now the question, can mentoring help us reduce footprints? Are we willing to reduce? And in fact, rich people pollute more. So that is one reason in the Western world. Our Western lifestyle is not sustainable. It doesn't matter if we use electric cars. We have a lifestyle that is not sustainable. So driving an electric car is simply not enough. And we have inequality in the world simply because we really don't care. It's too far away from us. And if we look at the ecological footprints, this is what it looks like. The red, that is us. So we need to take responsibility for warming. We can't blame, as you can see, we can't blame India or most of Africa for our problems. They have not caused warming. We have, and we need to take responsibility, not on behalf of the world, but on behalf of ourselves. Now, population growth is another thing here. We have had different projections going forward, and the upper curve there is for if we have a constant fertility, which we obviously won't, but that is exploding. We have a high variant, and we have a middle variant, and we have a low variant. The low variant is then peaking about 2050. But if you look at the middle projection there, that is the curve to the left. And most of the children are not born yet, right? I mean, you can see the explosion, and most of it is in Africa. Now, yeah, that might be look as an African problem, but in fact, doctors have been researching this and the connection to education and contraception, and they figured that if we just meet the sustainability development goals for education and contraceptive need, we can actually curb population growth. So the question is, are we willing to fund that kind of project? And it looks like we're oblivious to the impact that we could have simply by educating and providing contraception. And as you can see in Africa, and this is not like killing people. I mean, these are people that are not yet born. Then we have problem number 3 is global economy. And to the left, you can see see what we call the circular model, which is very, very complex. Lots of things connected to each other, and probably better understood by engineers than by coaches. So I have a simpler model, which says simply that we need to take less out of nature, and we need to stop waste, and then what we make and use need to go into a circular economy where our waste, our reusable waste, is collected, is recycled, and we have to avoid a lot of the transportation that we're currently doing. So it means that a more regional, a more local economic model is needed. Again, can mentoring help? I think so. Globalization was a bad idea. I think we must confess. It has resulted in pollution in big parts of the world. It has allowed us to consume more, and we have shared some of the wealth with poor countries. And then we have the global logistics, transporting fish to China and repackaging it and getting it back to Norway doesn't make much sense. Now, a couple of years ago, I produced a video to address the question, where do we need to focus? Now, there's a lot of activists out there, global problems, global politics, they say. They come to COP26 and so on, and politicians are promising the world to them. But actually, politicians don't produce anything, and politicians are in small numbers. So we need to think about lifestyle design. That's a coaching and it's a mentoring task or focus. Then we need to install responsible business practices everywhere and realize that we have all the innovative technologies that we need. We don't need to wait for new innovation. We simply need to use what we have. And that's a big point. Now, if you look at the right-hand low corner, that's business. That is where we can do a lot of good with coaching and mentoring and organizational development and leadership development. And I'm getting back to a little bit of what we're doing there. But I produced a film. It was 3.5 minutes. And I'm going to send it to you after, or the link to you after the presentation. So the problem here is that politicians don't produce, but they do something else. They subsidize and they shift, and they can shift subsidies to green projects. It makes no sense to subsidize fossil resources. It also makes no sense to dig for more fossil resources. As my old colleague, business professor at Edinburgh Business School said, is if you give pig farmers the task to create a new strategy, you can be sure that there are pigs in it. And for Norway, that means that everything that we seem to produce in terms of strategies has oil in it. It has oil and gas. Oil and gas is the solution to the future. So it's one of the reasons why I'm moving to Germany, which doesn't have oil. Anyway, we need new roadmaps. And I think there are 3 things that you can do to follow this. One is that, and we see this happen already, the black line, that is the fossil, that's the old economy. And it is declining. It has declined already until 2020 in many countries. And if that continue to shrink to net zero by 2050, it means that we need economic growth to compensate. But on the other hand, so that's the green line, But on the other hand, we also need to reduce consumption, probably by 30%. That's our footprint, and that's the unsustainable part of our consumption. So I think probably this is about what the new economy will look like, and we can provide then 7% per annual growth with green products and reduced pollution. So these are the macro things going on. Now the question, what can we do as in a mentoring program? One of the things we can do for our clients, for our students, for the general public is to simply follow what's going on. I've been doing this for a year now and has collected about 270, 280 sources. Whenever I'm on the internet reading things, I mark. I simply take the URL and click a button, and it goes into Airtable, which is on the left there. So I have a library of resources. It's reports, it's websites, it is YouTube. Anything goes in there that I can look up on a browser. The other thing is that you can put that into resources. I'm using Kajabi for this, which is a very good learning management platform. So this is a matter of courses like this one, the bridge, which Tor Erik and Konrad knows, and a membership site can have here, and you have also the possibility to create courses. So this is something that I see a trend that coaches are onto, providing resources to go along with their services. And for anybody who knows Coach Hub, that is pretty much one of their ideas as well. Provide coaching to young leaders or middle management leaders, and then provide resources, tools to go along with the coaching. Now this is expanded because it goes into mentoring and not just coaching tools. But this is one thing that you can do. Another thing is to choose wisely when you are creating mentoring and coaching programs. Now it tends to be coaches tend to go up in this direction to leadership, and they call it leadership coaching, working with the whole person, well-beings, working with emotional intelligence, doing some stuff here, reflection, deep listening. There's an organization of 4,600 call themselves supervisors in Germany, who are working very much in this area. But it doesn't create the strategic focus that you need. So the strategic focus come up in this area where you influence systemic thinking. You're working with the competencies, the green competencies. What do you need to understand when you're going into the green thinking? How do you think about a system of green resources? What do you expect? What can you expect? How do you educate your crew? For instance, Scania, the truck manufacturer, had a green day a year ago, I think it was. Everybody in the whole organization had a green day where they were discussing sustainability. I asked the HR manager, did you also teach or do you have a program in HR to teach people how to live greener? And he said no, because that seems to be political. I don't know how green thinking can be political and impossible for a company to teach. But if you imagine that you are in the green area, you have green strategies, and you want to have a branding as a green company, having employees who think green, talk green, would be a tremendous asset. So I think it's coming, but it was obviously a little bit too early. Ericsson is doing things in this area that are more advanced, working with 325 suppliers that are where the demand is that they have to be thinking or have strategies about and goals for environment, sustainability, and governance. So 325 of their biggest suppliers. They're also working on blockchain technologies, because they are the world's biggest bank, as they say, or transaction provider for banking transactions, and that is simply because you pay from one. In many parts of the world, you pay from your mobile phone into your telecom account, and the telecom account then forwards it to the recipient. But one of the things that is almost not is very seldom addressed by call it normal coaches and normal mentors is in this area here. But this is an area which Toyota, for instance, call coaching. So they're working on lean in this area, lean and agile in this area. So for a company to have a total grasp of coaching and mentoring and leadership development, they need to handle all the 4 quadrants, all the 7 what I call domains. And as I say, too many leadership programs go in this direction, as if there is a general leadership style that fits everybody, which isn't. So the idea is to get your champions, get your middle management in here, teach them the basic skills of coaching and mentoring, and then lead them through one of the paths here, either up via leadership if you're a general manager, or if you're on the production side in this direction, and then ending up in systemic thinking after a while. Yeah, so and providing the strategic focus for an organizational development or transition program is obviously very important. So the thing is, if you have that kind of an approach, you would identify and train your champions to become great coaches for their employees and for the company. And we know from ABB, we know from General that champions were able to cut 50% of the total capital for ABB back a few years, and GE went from being an expert from the US, being a true international. That's what a small number of champions can do. And then you can create a form for recording, and you can obviously source great coaches outside for management. Choose wisely in these programs.
I wonder if you have some problem with am I the only one who have problem to hearing you completely?
No, I was just about to say the same. We lost.
Okay, so how long has it been going on?
It's a little bit staccato coming and going.
Just the last 3 minutes, maybe 2-3 minutes.
Okay, but is it better now?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
So the point about this is that you with strategic focus, you can then identify and train your high potential people and your managers to become great coaches for the organization. This is what Toyota does, and obviously creating a mentoring platform. This is one reason went had people. There was no onboard. It was bad management, and it had to be a catastrophe. And then obviously you might need a coach from to complement. I call this reciprocal mentoring. We're getting into a future that we don't know. What they call at MIT and other places are emergers. So the question is, how do we handle this with clients and employees? And there is one possible method, appreciative inquiry, where you discover together where you are, you dream of the future, and you visualize it, emerge as a possibility, then you start developing it. And part of the agile, I don't want to go into the technique, but with this, you create a strategy and you develop and you deliver, and then you go another round. Now, in that process, our mentees don't know the answers. Our coaches don't know the answers. So it is
Paul, det er et eller annet med lyden din nå som gjør det litt vanskelig å høre alt du sier. Deler av ord og setninger som hakker og faller ut litt. Jeg vet ikke om du kan gjøre noe med det.
Nei, det tror jeg er vanskelig å gjøre noe, men jeg kan...
Kanskje du kan lukke noen andre, hvis du har for mange programmer oppe på PC-en din, så har du dårligere linje.
Det er bare den... Det er kun den ene her. Så... at det kanskje var et problem.
Kanskje det hjelper hvis du snakker langsommere, at da ikke noe av ordene forsvinner.
Hvis jeg kan snakke litt langsommere. Jeg kan prøve. Men jeg lurer på om det kanskje er... Kanskje Zoom har problemer i dag. Vi får se. Men er det sånn at it makes no sense?
Ja, altså ikke, jeg merker at jeg må konsentrere meg og koble det du sier og forsøke å følge med på bildene samtidig. Men så ser jeg her, når jeg ser på bildet av deg nede til venstre, så ser jeg lydkvaliteten har vært rød. Akkurat nå så er stolpene hvite. For litt siden så stod det at du ikke hadde bredt nok bånd, altså god nok båndbredde. Men det kan hende gå bedre akkurat nå, hvis vi prøver igjen.
Vi kan jo prøve igjen, og så ser vi om det...
Ja, det er bedre nå, Paul.
Jeg har ikke opplevd dette før, men det er vel sånn i IT, da.
Ja, vi lever i en moderne verden.
Nei, men jeg kan ta denne litt om igjen, fordi altså, the point is that we don't know the future, we develop the future, we create the future. And the future will emerge through our joint process. Some people call it co-creation. In a mentoring sense, I think it's reciprocal mentoring. We are learning from each other while we discover what's going on. We dream about the possible solutions and the possible future, and we then have to develop and try it out. Now, this is different from what many coaches are doing when they assume that leaders have it in them. The mentors won't have it in them. Coaches won't have it in them. This is something that is additional to what we have. It's an unknown future. We have to work together to create it. So in some sense, mentoring is the right tool, while coaching is limited. Now you might also assume how many coaches don't go into mentoring in reality. I know some who don't. but almost all of us who have a business background go into mentoring now and then. And it's an information overwhelm. So what we're doing right now is to create a mentoring platform. I had some help by Tor-Erik to select a platform. We went for Mentornity, which we launched as a prototype, a platform for mentoring. And then we're creating a business model in Germany for supporting the platform. We're going to offer diploma and masterminds, diploma accredited by EMCC, and we're going to work in a lab, a couple of hundred coaches worldwide. So that's the outline, but it can be anything. I mean, you can create a mentoring platform for green knowledge, and somebody entering the this is the business model that I'm taking into Germany right now. Other things that we're working on is to use hubs and spokes for supply chains. I mentioned Ericsson with 325 suppliers, and that probably is about 20,000 people. 20, 30, 40, I really don't know, but there are lots of people involved in these programs. And this used to be my career when I was working for General Electric. We use these techniques for e-business, and we know it works. Then we have a plan to have coaches and mentor clusters in major cities, starting in Germany on the 17th of January in Munich, and then going around in Germany, and we'll be going also to Stockholm and Copenhagen, Oslo, and I have connections in the US. So the thought is here to create a movement, something that is much bigger than what we can do on our own. I mentioned the prototype mentoring programs, which we will do for scaling companies, and I have contact with a high level in the German government. So we probably have workshops in the chambers of commerce, the 140 chambers of commerce internationally and 80 in Germany. We're working on this. As I said, the Green Mentoring Diploma, we will have an EAI practitioner next year, and we are providing free contents and social media. And we're also planning a high-level mastermind. So these are things that we're working on in green mentoring for the moment. So these are the questions then that I had. I have no idea where I'm time-wise. I was trying to talk fast. Yeah, for 4 minutes. So I'm just simply going to stop sharing and ask you guys, in case so how much did you not hear about from what I was saying? I mean, it was audio still lagging a bit. This was a few minutes ago. So the first question I had to you are these topics that you are talking about in your families? Anybody who wants to?
Well, thank you very much. I'll start then. First of all, thank you very much for bringing this to the table. Really interesting view you have, and also that presentation and all. It only was in a small in time in the middle where we lost you a little bit. So it was good in the beginning and it ended good as well. I must say, from my part of view, yes, we do talk about it a lot at home. It has been, I grew up in Mexico City, so influenced by the Maya Indians, I know that we borrow our future from our children. So that has influenced my life ever since. My dad, he's a grand panter in Sweden. So he tries to move on the politicians to move faster on all these things, along with other grand panters, to like yourself, having grandchildren and doing something to help push these questions. So yes, we sold our cars as a family. When I work with businesses, I have one leader is really interesting moving in, well, the understanding of that there's the big companies that needs to do a lot more because energy, I mean, it's also rising exponentially because of the, well, we're getting bigger and the demands on energy is also getting bigger. Population is, as you said, growing a lot. And in Denmark, for example, they use a lot of wind, but when the wind is not there, there's no wind, no energy, so they are heavy on coal, where we in Sweden have more of the water and wind, but there's a big gap in those. But using, as this leader is using it as a team project, something that they are using as team building to come together and reduce waste as the whole company, looking at, so what they're creating is actually awareness of how much waste they are producing every day with how we are buying, what we're buying, when we're buying. So that has actually influenced their bottom line, has leveled up big time because of the new awareness in this company. So that I thought was very inspiring and also interesting to just look at a little where we all can do something, and by creating awareness actually has effects on the bottom line.
Exactly. So I would like to ask Tor Erik actually, because I know that this is a topic in schools today. I mean, it's on the curriculum, isn't it?
Håper det greit å svare på norsk. Nei, faktisk ikke. Merkelig nok egentlig. Der synes jo jeg ledelsen hos oss og på alle andre skoler bør være bedre, for jeg ser at vi alt for dårlige til å ta i bruk alt av for eksempel bøker på nett, skrive ut oppgaver. Det helt forunderlig hvor mange som fremdeles står ved kopimaskinen 5 på 8 og printer ut 30, 40, 50 sider, fordi de synes det så mye enklere å levere ut oppgavene på ark til elevene. Jeg må jo si at jeg fremdeles veldig forundret over det, at ikke vi har en del ulike apper, vi har programmer som gjør at vi kan gjøre det på en mye enklere måte, men vi roter oss litt bort. Men det klart, vi fikk jo et kraftig spark for litt over et år siden, hvor vi måtte begynne å bruke Teams. Og det var ganske morsomt, for det var store forandringer spesielt for enkelte lærere som for første gang fikk datamaskin hjem og internett og sånn. Så nei, forunderlig nok, alt for lite. Skremmende lite.
Andre kommentarer til akkurat det spørsmålet? Ja, André?
Well, to try to answer your first question, yes,
det på norsk egentlig.
Ja, det noe vi absolutt snakker om, både familie, jobb, venner, foreninger, men jeg synes det litt sånn, det en sånn tosidig egg. På den ene siden så det veldig lett å snakke om, Men når du virkelig begynner å snakke om tiltak, det da konfliktene oppstår. Og jeg har lyst til å ta det litt tilbake til en av de første slidesene dine, hvor du viste et kart over hvilke land som de store synderne. Og det nok en ganske stor reality check for veldig mange, og det gjelder også ute i bedrift. Vi veldig glad i å snakke om det at vi kjører elbil, og jeg lader hybriden på jobb, og vi kildesorterer søpla hjemme, men vi tenker alltid på at men dette skjer jo i Kina og India og Brasil. Det de store synderne. Det der hvor det flyter ut i elvene. Og da tenker jeg litt sånn, som du sier, det for fjernt. Hva kan vi gjøre med det? Hva kan vi i lille Norge gjøre? Men så ser jeg det på kartet ditt at vi merket rødt, Brasil merket gult. Og da må jeg stille litt spørsmål tilbake. Og snakker vi da bare forurensning? Eller det avskoging og alle de andre faktorene for bærekraft involvert også?
Svaret på det vel at dette kartet et par år gammelt. Og en annen sak jo at det vanskelig å regne inn skader på skog. Og vi vet at dette jo et ansvar for det enkelte land også, å rapportere inn. Og vi vet for eksempel at Malaysia rapporterte inn et veldig lite negativt avtrykk. Men det var fordi de hadde hogget ned all skog, og så hadde de plantet nye trær. Men effekten på klima var jo at de hadde avskoget. Så det dårlig statistikk egentlig på mye av dette. Men jeg tror nok det at hvis du ser på fattigdom, det mye fattigdom i Brasil. Og det gjør at at totalen der blir relativt liten. Men over hele verden så det jo sånn at det vi som rike som forbruker mest. Og så har vi outsourcet den skittende delen av det vi holder på med. Det har vi outsourcet til Kina og Filippinene og så videre, fordi det så billig. Og så sitter man der nede i søppelhauger og sorterer. Men det kommer jo ikke fram som oppvarming, ikke sant?
Jeg tenkte, jeg helt enig i det du sier der, at selv når jeg var på bryllupsreis for mange år siden på Borneo, som da Malaysia, så fikk vi også de svarte tallene der levert i fanget, når vi så alle palmeproduksjon. Men sånn som når vi i bedrift snakker om bærekraft og forurensning, så det alltid en kombinasjon av forbruk og produksjon. Ja. Altså du har forbruket på den ene siden, og der kan vi kanskje legge skylda på det industrielle riket, og når det kommer til produksjon, så det som du sier, vi outsourcer det. Men som jeg sier, det veldig lett å si at vi kanskje har ansvaret. Det jo globalt ansvar dette her. Og da det jo det, hvordan kan vi påvirke de som ikke har midler råd, tenker jeg.
Ja. Jeg vet ikke hva jeg tar råd, Erik.
Jo, det å prate om det å være grønne jo jeg føler at mange gjør det, og så var det litt innpå det med det grønne innovateknologier. Og så fikk jeg et litt sånn interessant spørsmål, for hvis du har den delen med varmepumper og sånn da, som gjør at det bruker mindre strøm, og folk installerer disse varmepumpene, men da har de ofte bruker de opp det de sparte til å øke fra 21 grader til 23 grader, fordi da har de råd til det. Og samme med elbil på en måte, så kjører de elbil, fordi da sparer de strøm, men kanskje de har råd til å kjøre enda mer bil, og så bruker de opp det de sparer ved å bruke mer da.
Eller en SUV, ikke sant?
Ja.
For den ble så billig.
Ja, ikke sant? Og så det der om å prate om det i jobb, og det blir jo vi nødt til både på skolen og i XXL i forhold til lærlingene, der jeg og André må utvikle kurs, det kommer jo i kompetansemålene og fremover, og blir mye omtalt der. Vi har vært på noen seminarer nå i høst. Grunnen til det så tok jeg også et kurs på BI på bærekraftige strategier og grønne innovasjoner. For der jeg og André planlegger fremover da, og kjøre kurs for lærlingene våre, dette her i forhold til den grønne veksttrappa og sånne ting. Og starte med det allerede nå, og ikke vente på det vel de lærlingene som nå starter til høsten, hvis jeg ikke tar helt feil, Tor Erik, at det de som får den nye kompetanseplanen, eller læreplanen, det ikke det vi får inn nå? Eller det neste år igjen?
Jeg tenker på VG3.
Ja. Stemmer, ja. Så da må vi jo uansett starte med det.
Ja, men det bra. Det jo nettopp den bevisstheten og den framdriften der som vi savner. Så Tor Erik, og så var det Erik?
Ja, jeg tok og viste litt forskjellig i klassen jeg hadde i fjor. Og da tok jeg den footprint-kalkulatoren.
Ja.
Og nå husker ikke jeg akkurat hvordan disse her tallene var og sånt noe, men jeg mener at regjeringen ønsker at hver enkelt person skal komme ned på tallet 9, tror det var det. MDG ønsker å presse oss ned til 6. Når jeg sjekket, så var jeg tror jeg var på 19.
Ja, ikke sant.
Det hinsides. Det klart, jeg blir jo straffet fordi jeg spiser rødt kjøtt og kjører bil til jobben.
Du blir også straffet fordi det altså fordi du altså jeg brukte også en sånn kalkulator, presset ut alt som jeg vet skadelig. Bil, jeg kjørte bare tog litt grann. Jeg spiste ikke kjøtt, ingen av disse tingene, og allikevel så hadde jeg et alt for stort avtrykk. Og det kommer rett og slett av at det vi forbruker, det transporteres verden rundt. Det ligger på lager et eller annet sted, og så går det med lastebil og så videre. Så det regnet inn noen sånne faktorer.
Jeg hadde en ganske interessant diskusjon for noen dager siden, for jeg coachet litt som skulle søke på ny jobb. Og hun skulle søke på jobb som Head Sustainability et eller annet. Head of Sustainability skulle hun være da i et klesselskap.
Ja.
Det utrolig, det var så interessant, fordi at det jo de synder ekstremt innenfor klesindustrien. Ja.
Det mange gode prosjekter der ute, og vi kunne ha snakket lenge om det. Jeg forsøker å følge med så godt jeg kan. Erik, vi må bare runde av i løpet av de neste 5 minuttene.
Jeg bare tenkte jeg skulle nevne noen eksempler på gode prosjekter, fordi det andre spørsmålet ditt gikk jo på hva opplever vi ute hos våre kunder.
Ja.
Og jeg har vært så heldig at jeg har fått jobbe i ASKO-konsernet i mange år. Og de tror jeg har en ganske bra standing når det gjelder bærekraft og det grønne.
Miljøfyrtårn blant annet, det ikke det?
Jo, det tror jeg helt riktig. Og de presenterer stadig nye ting. Jeg kan bare nevne noen eksempler. De har nå verdens første batterielektriske lastebil som kan lade batteripakka si i løpet av en sjåførpause. Den går på norske veier i dag. ASKO-konsernet, de har en egen organisasjon som de kaller for ASKO Fornybar. Og de bidrar i satsingen blant annet på havvind. I 2020 så var ASKO vinner av næringslivets klimapris i Norge, og jeg tror de har en god del konkurrenter. Og så det en annen morsom ting, de har begynt å frakte varer fram og tilbake over Oslofjorden, og det skjer nå med batteridrevne, førerløse ferger. Så her det mange gode tiltak i gang i det konsernet, ganske spennende. De har også en ordning hvor de sponser medarbeidere som ønsker å kjøre på gass. altså privat.
Mm.
Så jeg tror det et av konsernene i Norge som har en veldig god standing, og Norgesgruppen totalt sett tror jeg også ønsker å profilere seg veldig tydelig på det grønne skiftet.
Det skjer mye også på transportsektoren. Han fra Scania sier at innen 2030 skal 50% av lastebilparken de produserer være elektrisk. Den andre halvparten skal gå på hydrogen. Det ikke gode nyheter for Norge, men sånn det.
Ikke sikkert det så gærent heller.
Neida. Bra. Nei, men kjempehyggelig å se dere. Beklager det tekniske problemer. Det sånn, det de kaller for force majeure. Det var ikke det.
Jeg har bare lyst til å si til slutt, Paul, det du sier om prosjektet i Tyskland jo utrolig spennende. Så det hadde vært morsomt å få høre mer om etter hvert når det kommer i gang i neste år. For håpe at omikron ikke legger noen kjepper i hjula.
Jeg kommer til å trosse omikron denne gangen.
Ja, det bra.
Ikke mer.
Og så må jeg jo si at jeg synes det veldig, veldig spennende den vinklingen du har, Paul, i forhold til at du mener at det mentoren som skal hjelpe til å redde verden. Det den veien vi kan gå inn. At vi kan bruke vårt fag, mentoring, coaching, som den spydspissen ute blant folk, fordi at jeg har ikke noe så spesielt tro på at ting kommer fra ledelsen og blir tredd ned på oss, men at det må komme nedenfra, og vi må begynne med oss selv, og der jeg tror veldig mange ønsker, men de vet ikke hva de kan gjøre. Konkret, hva kan jeg gjøre hjemme? Jeg tror veldig, veldig mange ønsker det, og det samme tror jeg også i bedrifter. Hva kan vi gjøre? Vi har lyst, men vi vet ikke. Vi hører om store konserner som Asko, som du nevner, Erik, som gjør mye fint. Men hva kan vi gjøre i vårt lille firma med 8 ansatte eller sånn? Så jeg har så innmari tro på det, så jeg håper at vi kan ha en oppfølging av dette her litt senere, for å se når det kommet i gang.
Kan legge inn det på nyåret. Hjertelig takk for fremmøtet.